You can hear this. You are not alone. This is the Resistance.
What's up, everyone? Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance. Damn, I look badass in this. Well, you know what's not badass? The fact that we just went to fucking war with Iran right in the midst of the No Kings protest thing. I swear to God, I think this is a fucking distraction. No Kings protest was sent to distract us while he goes to war with Iran, and then Iran is meant to distract us, and shit's gonna go to hell here on the Western Front. That's my thought. Come.
Holy shoot. It's like you picked it right out of my own brain. And it's mildly scary. And there's a few things out there that we're not supposed to be able to prove this stuff. It's all supposed to be hocus pocus, right? Well, this is the nonsense that's attached to it. Trump went out on X and whatever, and he made this big nonsensical spiel, and people can go look it up and so on and so forth. And then after the spiel, he said he wants an unconditional surrender from Iran. Okay, well, you're requesting a surrender from a country that you've never actually officially declared war with. Like, we all know that the Americans are going to help. It just is what it is. But like, he's like, I'm not even going to start fighting yet, and you're going to surrender, and you're going to surrender. So that's bothersome. But what's more,
the thing is, Netanyahu is the one who declared war. We're not officially in war with them yet, and technically, Trump can't issue a declaration of war. That is something that can only be done by an act of Congress. So If he does, and Congress goes along with it, at which point, the No Kings protest would in fact be justified.
Absolutely. And then there's this other thing that I've always used to say, but people always called me a nutty conspiracy theorist, but we must always remember that Israel is not a country. It's a state. It is the state of Israel. That's what it's recognized worldwide. We all call it Israel, and we leave it at that, but it's a state. It belongs
to which
to
country
someone.
does this state belong?
I don't know, but I know that in Canada, I don't have states. I have provinces. And I know a lot of countries, most of the ones that are in the Commonwealth, all have provinces, not states. There's only really one country that I know for sure of that has states and not provinces, and it's the Americans. And they also have states offshore. Example, Hawaii. They have another one that's offshore as well. Alaska. Offshore meaning literally
that's like right on the other side of you guys.
That's right. So it means that the Americans, it's not a secret that they have states that are not directly connected to the motherland, which segues into the state of Israel. And the reason why this is a problem is that if I'm right and Israel belongs to the United States, then one of y'all's states just got attacked. So you guys would have to begin to act accordingly.
Dude, I never even thought of that. Holy shit.
Right? Because
there's no other states in the world other than within the United States, and Israel has been officially declared the state of Israel.
Right.
Holy fucking shitballs.
This is why I use stupid language like the great country of Canada and the great country of the United States, is that I'm formally declaring that I know the difference between a nation state and a nation.
Dude, my head just fucking exploded right now.
The only two things we have with Iran, one was back in 1953 due to a coup that we caused with Britain, because former president nationalized oil in Iran.
That's right. The petrodollar.
Yep.
And he was elected democratically by the people. He nationalized the oil. Britain wanted the peace. He said no. What happened? They went to the United States. brought in the CIA and MI6 to spread out all this propaganda bullshit. Thanks to Edward Bernays, the godfather of propaganda. So they started a coup that brought in the Shah. And there has been the Shah for the last 72 years.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of blows my mind.
And 79 was a retaliation that was done 20 plus years prior.
Yeah, and it
So
goes
they
back
know-
to everything we've been saying all along. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Revan. But this goes back to everything we've been saying for the past several months.
Well,
We're just
myself,
kind of
it's been
repeating
12
ourselves
years.
at this point. That
It's been-
Netanyahu is the fucking problem here. He's sitting there saying that, he's been saying, it actually came out since 1984. He's been saying, Israel's been claiming that Iran's going to have nuclear weapons. Iran's going to have nuclear weapons. And now, coincidentally, when he had to fucking show proof, when it came time for him to have to show proof that Iran had nuclear weapons, what did he do? He bombed all of their nuclear research and testing facilities so that there's nothing left. He literally went and destroyed all the evidence, but incidentally proved that he was a fucking liar, because check this out. You blow up the nuclear research, you blow up all the freaking shit that's been amended for nuclear weapons, there's going to be radioactive residue, which there is not. Netanyahu just shot himself in his own fucking foot. He blew his goddamn leg off. He is now walking on one leg and his dick, if his dick is even that big. Okay? He just showed the fucking world that Iran had no nuclear weapon.
They killed the scientists and used a Stuxnet to hack into their system.
Yeah, but like I was saying, there would be radioactive residue from the strikes. There isn't. There's no radioactive residue, which means Netanyahu was lying his fucking ass off and attacked these people without any sort of provocation. His provocation for bombing these people, citing that they had nuclear weapons, was a fucking lie. The whole thing. Iran's got weapons of mass destruction. It goes right back to George fucking Bush saying that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. It's all a fucking lie. Now, I don't know if Trump's fucking doing this on purpose or whether he's just a fucking uninformed twit at this point, like he was with Russia and Ukraine. But it seems to me that, somebody in that position of power needs to know what the fuck's going on. And if he doesn't know what's going on, then he needs to replace the people that are keeping this info from him, or he needs to step the fuck down because he's a blundering fucking idiot. And if either one is not the case, that he's not an idiot and knows what the fuck he's doing, then he is, as I fucking speculated and feared, is an agent of the elites.
That's why they removed him the first time.
All right. Now watch this. Because
the reason why he's back is because of our government.
So here's the fun part. I'm going to go from angry to very, very scary. Okay? And we're going to try and ease our way in simply without freaking people out. But who was the one that helped move the capital to Jerusalem? That was Donald Trump. What did Israel do as a thank you? If I'm not mistaken, they put his face on one of their gold coins, which is going to be the little currency that they use inside of the third temple. So to assume whether or not that Donald Trump knows what's going on, we got to remember that Donald Trump's the God-fearing man. He professes to be Christian, but he's of the denomination of Christian that
the Antichrist.
He's the denomination of Christian that believes that you're supposed to support the Jews at all costs. That kind of person, right? And it is what it is. But now here's where it gets scarier. Okay, we were on Netanyahu and on how he shot himself in the foot with a lie. And this was the best part about it because I loved this lie. Okay, this is the fun part because when two sides are lying, normally it's the beautiful lie that wins. The ugly lie, people tend to forget about it. So, for instance, this is what I mean. Netanyahu said that he went and blew up a bunch of nuclear facilities. That was a lie. Iran knows it's a lie, but you know what Iran
Yeah,
did?
he blew up the nuclear facilities. The reason he gave was a lie.
Right?
It wasn't that he blew up the facilities that was a lie. It was the reason he gave that was the lie. So let's be clear.
Yeah. So Iran came out and said that if they didn't do what they did, the nuclear leakage would have been catastrophic. It would have dwarfed Chernobyl. Right. So
Yeah.
right. So
Not
let's
just
pretend.
not just Chernobyl, but the one in Japan, man.
Right. So let's pretend that that Iran had no nuclear facilities whatsoever, which we know that that's not the case, but we're going to pretend that they don't. And then Israel lies about it, and then they bomb a bunch of weird ass fucking buildings, no nuclear fissile materials to be detected, and now Iran's like, yeah, but if we wouldn't have done what we did, we would have a huge nuclear problem. And the storyline here would be that they never had any nuclear facilities. So the beautiful lie is that Iran came out and saved the day because of all this nuclear radiation that was gonna spill out, didn't spill out due to their actions. But yeah, Israel literally hit the research facilities, anything that could be deemed militaristic and so on and so forth was hit. Now I got to segue into a different direction, into the absolute scary, which is what's going to put all of us on edge. More me than you, because I just think it's my turn, not your turn. I think 9/11 was your turn, and I think this time it's Canada's turn. Okay? So hear me out on this. Because we're military allies, I don't think it's always going to be the Americans that are going to bleed in this new format of war. I just think that nobody's in a rush to make the Canadians bleed because we're fucking nuts. Like we just lose it. Like regular businessmen get a gun in their hand, they just go shoot everybody, imagining it's the bad boss, right? It's horrible. We're horrible people on the battlefield. You can look us up and so on. We joked about it in the past, but I still think
I know you guys are just sitting up there right now, sharpening your ice skates, getting ready to come down and steal all our cheese.
See, at least we understand each other. So the problem that I'm faced with this is that Benjamin Netanyahu himself looked at the Ayatollah of Iran, and this is where it all gets very serious, and said that he should be very wise. Otherwise, he will end up like the leader close to him. And he literally fucking named Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
I need everybody to raise their hands if they know why Saddam Hussein is dead. Okay, it was because why? Because Osama bin Laden flew some planes into towers, right? And we already know the stories that are attached to that, but I can use
the real reason why he died was
because he wanted to drop the petrodollar.
Oil. No, he was selling oil in euros.
Yes.
Yeah, because he wanted to drop the petrodollar.
That's right. He was going to put
he wanted to drop the petrodollar. 9/11 happened, so everybody was already pissed off. Everybody in the West was already pissed off at the Middle East. Hey, let's go back to Iraq. Oh, hey, yeah. Iraq's got weapons of mass destruction. Hey, Bill, you got any more pot?
Right? So this is the fucked up part, though, okay? Because Saddam Hussein was killed because of a story of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq because there was an attack on American soil. That the most important part about this is that literally Netanyahu has threatened the West, and people are not smart enough to realize it. He's saying that if Iran doesn't calm down, he will attack the West and point his finger at Iran, and it will be Iraq all over again.
And Alex Jones has actually been pointing that out. That is one thing I will give Alex credit for. He's been pointing that out. And, they say that, Trump watches Alex Jones. How is Trump missing this shit? If Alex Jones, common sense shit. You say that Trump watches Fox News. Well, Fox News is disinformation, obviously, because it's owned by Disney, who is a fucking liberal-based media conglomerate.
No. Fox News is still owned by News Corp.
Yeah, but didn't Disney buy out everything in connection to Fox? Yeah, so Fox News is owned by Disney, correct?
So we get our
No,
news
no,
from
no, no.
Fairy Tale
Which is
Land.
owned by
Disney
General
owns
Electric.
ABC, ESPN, Fox Studios. Fox Studios has nothing to do with Fox News.
Really?
Okay, it's two separate
Yeah.
corporations. Could be owned by the same person, but they'd be two separate entities.
Well, even so, they're not exactly adequate when it comes to adequate representation of the facts, any more than any other media outlet is. But, maybe at the very least, Trump should turn off Fox News and start, watching the Alex Jones show every fucking day. Alec, you better start fucking paying me for these fucking plugs, man. Like, seriously, bro.
So now I got to say,
But Newsmax, One American News. That's it.
we got to segue into the actual topic today because people are going to think we've lost our actual minds here. But
I done lost it years ago in California, and I'm in Tennessee now, so I know I'm never getting it back.
So
I lost mine when I got married.
I'm still looking for mine. So
and this Worldwide Resistance Network broadcast is brought to you by Meth Monster because I'm pretending to be Alex Jones.
See, don't need AIs. Just gotta.
I lost my mind. I lost my mind with my wife trying to run me over on her menstrual cycle.
That's fucking horrid. Reason 1001.
The sad story of every man, right?
Right.
But so go ahead, segue.
So the reason why. Hold on. I'm just trying not to get stung by this hornet here. Like, fucking go somewhere else. I got plants all over the yard. Pick one. So, there you go. So, in essence, the reason why this is worrisome is that the economic retaliation that's going to happen with all this, there could be a military one. And the other reason why I think it's going to be Canada is that nobody really wants to go to war with Iran because we all know that at least I know, and I've known it since like my very first video was like me getting all pissed off, and like I think I ended along the lines of you're getting us ready to go to war with a country who hasn't done anything to anybody for a very long time, and until like this missile shootage of directly from Iran into Israel and and like Iran did it to support the Palestinians because they couldn't defend themselves. Anyway, all of this nonsense is happening, and Russia is saying to Israel that if they don't stop, that they're going to step in because Russia is the one that's supposed to protect Iran. Iran's running out of firepower, so it's going to have to hit in a different way. It's going to have to hit economically. Now, in the Middle East, there's a canal. It's called the Suez Canal, and Iran has threatened to close it down. And something like 30% of the world's oil trade comes out of that canal. Now, with the history of the Panamanian Canal, we will learn a lot about what kind of economic effects happen when you actually close a canal, because there's not very many canals. Like Revan knows far more about this kind of transport than I do, and the places that hold these little canals, like the Panama Canal and things like that. Like there's an entire history, be it culturally, publicly, and also like politically attached to this body of water. So I really think it's important that we learn of Panama, the Panama Canal. So it's the best segue I could put together, demonstrating that everything that's happening today will have a direct repercussion to a trade route, a canal that we use, which is also why the Northwest Passage is very important in Canada, which is why I think Canada is going to get hit, because that particular passage can replace the Suez Canal. So all this is happening. It's like a non-issue. The other reason why people don't think the war is coming is because the oil prices haven't gone up. It's because Saudi Arabia has called Iran the next Hitler. Saudi Arabia is the one that's propping our oil prices. That's what's happening here. Like so Saudi is like, don't worry, the oil that Iran is selling, you don't need it. You don't need it. Israel wants to go to war with Iran, that's okay. And if the United States wants to help, that's okay. The oil prices, OPEC, the oil producing countries, they're just like, don't worry about it. Let this war happen and we'll take care of the rest of the world with everything else. So this war is happening because the Saudi prince has sided with the Americans, and the Americans have sided with Israel, and the whole like state of Israel probably belonging to the United States. And but see, it's not theirs if they openly say that they belong to the United States. So it's like everybody was quite quiet about it. But the Americans are 100% responsible for keeping Israel alive. And a young Joe Biden, there's clips of a young Joe Biden, you know, before he lost his mind, where he would say things like, if Israel didn't exist, the United States would have to go to the Middle East and create an Israel so that they could protect the interest of that area purely for military strategic reasons. So for a grouping of people to want to live there and do all of the legwork to build the buildings, do the economy, all that stuff, it is physically cheaper for the United States to protect the state of Israel than it is for them to build their own military outpost and protect that instead. So I get it. It all kind of makes sense. What doesn't make sense is that it's all going to go to fucking pot. Like it's not like we're all going to die and it's all alarmist. No, it's that all of these agreements that have existed for all these years, they're all coming to a very quiet, abrupt close. And the consequences of that happening is far from being quiet. It's twice as abrupt and it's like 17,000 times louder. Like, so yeah, so the canals are far more important to understand than people would believe. So I'm going to give this to Revan.
Yeah, because Revan, you know a lot about this, brother. And you've been wanting to cover this for a while. And it's important to understand
it took
the history
years.
of Panama and how we got to this point. So take it, Revan.
It took nearly a decade to finish the canal. It was ran by France and Britain. And France owned a majority of Panama, and it costed like millions of dollars to get it done, and a lot of lives to finish it up. You know.
Yeah, because there was a lot of tension within those areas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So a lot of armed conflict.
After a while, we ended up with it. We stole it. Our government stole the canal. So after all this shit happened, we give it back when Carter was in office. He said, we're giving it back to Panama people. And we did that.
Okay.
And so Reagan, during between his first and second term, he said, we own it. We bought it. We own it. No, we stole it through military force. That's why we have both sides of the canal military bases. Why? It could be a stranglehold on the canal. Now, during the first term of George H.W. Bush, Manuel Noriega, who was our puppet in Panama, he said, fuck this. I'm not going to play ball with you guys anymore. I'm done. And if you don't play ball with the U.S. government, you are a loose end that need to be tightened. So they went into Panama. They hunted them down. Now, here's the kicker how they got him. If you remember, he was charged with drug trafficking.
Yes, sir.
No evidence of that. No evidence. It was a setup. And how they do it, they grab a duffel bag, fill it with clothes, pornography, drugs, you name it. And when they found him, they zipped it up, unzipped it, throw it on the bed. Hey, got you, man. We got you. Because it's all bullshit.
Just like a cop planting drugs on somebody.
Yeah, they blew up his plane, and it was a full blown military effort by the Navy SEALs and shit. and for Delta Force too. And the CIA was also behind this too. So when they caught him, they charged him with drug trafficking, gave him almost 20 years. He got out in 8.5 years because they found out that it was bullshit.
Yeah.
After they caught him, we had a puppet president of Panama. Okay. Now, while this was happening, on the port of Panama, 7,500 people were gunned down and murdered by our own military. And also, our military shot and murdered foreign and domestic journalists because they did not want to go out. But one journalist made it through. They protected her. They told her their story after she left. Our military guys, our army guys, lined up 8 people and a doctor, gunned them all down. And now Trump wants to take back the canal. Fuck that. We give it back to the people of Panama over 45 years ago.
That's the first time I've ever heard of Trump actually doing a Hitler-esque move, trying to take back something that was once the Americans. That's what Hitler used to say. I'm just taking back Germany. Sorry.
Now you have BlackRock, and China wants to buy and own the canal. I'm sorry, cocksucker. It don't belong to you. It belongs to the people of Panama, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with that because we're working on the Northwest Passage in Canada, and it belongs to Canada, right? Like there comes a point when it's just like that's just not mine. Yeah. That's
another thing. And another thing, Iran never attacked us.
Oh.
They won't do it. They won't do it.
No,
even if they have
years,
even if they have legitimate weapons, they're not going to be stupid enough.
The reason they won't is because they know of the kind of military we have, but they're backed by Russia. They're using Russian planes, the MiG, and they have the AK-47s. Right.
Well, from what I understand, like and now we're going to segue into the direction that Tin Man was talking about because we were live. He was live streaming the protest, right? And there's a segment in that video where like I'm going to talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about, and I completely like listed full circle who was doing what and why. And one of the things is like, well, because I touched it earlier, like that the Saudi prince sided with the Americans, so this is why Israel's doing this. And the other question is like, well, why is the Americans letting them do this? Well, the Americans have flooded a lot of weapons into Ukraine's battlefield. If Israel attacks Iran, Iran's the drone supplier, and it supplies a lot of different military gear to Russia. Well, when a country is currently in a state of war, which is why it's very important to keep the United States free, otherwise the economy falls apart, is at the moment that a country is in a state of war, they tend to stop selling their weapons. They're like, I fucking need that one. That one might be the one that saves the day. So they hold on to that. So the Iranians are no longer selling certain weapons to Russia because they're currently using them against Israel. So Israel fucking with Iran is helping Russia take the battle to the front in Ukraine. And so it's like fuck. The Americans like I can't put more money in. So it's like, I don't know.
Israel's making drones.
What, Revan?
Here's a big blowback though. If Israel is selling this stuff to Russia, drones and shit, right?
Yeah. No, Iran's the one selling.
Yeah, Iran's selling to Russia.
Okay, well, there's a back door to that. Is that if Russia uses a drone built by Israel, they could easily remote it to shut it down to make them look bad, you know.
So is it Iran selling drones to Russia, or is it Iran selling drones to Ukraine? Because I know Ukraine has been big on the drone thing.
The Ukraine has been innovative. The Ukraine made drone warfare a thing, but they started with the upper echelon styles of quadcopter drones and dropping hand grenades, right? The drones that we're talking about is like the one scale below the Predator drone. So the Predator drone goes up, it's got no pilot, and it fires a missile. These fuckers go up, they have no pilot, they are the missile. So it's just a step down. So this is what's happening is that Iran is selling those to Russia, and Israel is attacking Iran so that Iran has to use their own stuff against them, which is helpful because Russia can't have those to attack Ukraine, and that protects the American investment because a lot of weapons and things because these are things that take out Abrams tanks, and the expensive toys that we send over to the Ukraine to defeat Russia can be taken down by some of the Iranian toys that the Russians are purchasing. So when Israel started doing its thing to Iran, which is just recent, like yesterday or the day before, Russia was like, dude, if you don't calm down. So what's happening is Russia is telling Israel now that if you don't stop, I'm going to get involved because Israel is affecting Russia's fucking oil. Israel is affecting Russia's weapons supply just by fucking with Iran. And now if Russia has to come good, so this is the fuckery, okay? In order for Russia, this is why the Iran don't need nukes. This is why, okay, this is the fuck up. It's not a fuck up. It's gorgeous. It's just nobody wants to recognize it. Why does my country not need nuclear weapons? Because I live right beside the States. They have my nuclear weapons. And here's a secret. Not a lot of people know. A lot of your nukes are buried on my soil. So even if they hit your country, your president can still hit a button and it can still come out of a Canadian silo. Right? We're friends, bro. We got you and you got us and it's all good. This is the highest level stuff. Just like the why is it in the Americans' best interest to protect Canadian skies? American nukes on Canadian soil. Okay? Shh. Don't tell nobody. It's a secret. Okay? So so now that's why I think they're going to attack us. And why? Because most of the world don't want to go to war with Iran because Russia is the nuclear umbrella for Iran. Okay, Iran is the battle umbrella for Syria. It's the battle umbrella for the downtrodden Palestinians, for all of Israel's enemies. Iran's like, don't worry, I'll send medical supplies. Well, they're taking our supply. I'll send troops to protect the medical supplies, and they're like, but they're still killing us. I'll send troops to start killing them. I'm sorry, and I'll send troops to start killing them is now. We're here. Okay, so when the October 7th thing happened, where the Palestinians stormed the Israeli gate, well, right before that, and I'm talking like weeks before that, Israel had done a bunch of shit in the settlements that would have been constituted a war crime. So when they went in, it was the biggest thing to remember is that it wasn't an act of terror. That was a legitimate act of war. They were done. They breached the barriers. They went through like a foot soldier would. They took prisoners of war. They established hostage situations, negotiations. They hold the power. They have this and that. And now look at where the world is. Now everybody's paying attention. So Russia's telling right now Russia.
How many people know that the leader in Syria now is a Mossad agent?
Oh yeah.
Nobody knows these things, and that's why, like, all of a sudden it just got quiet. They stopped talking about it, right? So now, but see, Iran's supposed to be taking care of Syria, and now Syria's fallen, for lack of a better word. So they're not protecting Syria anymore. They've pulled back, and now the thing with Israel is like it's on like Donkey Kong, but Iran is like, yo, my economy can't support this. Russia, I'm not going to be able to keep backing you because look what they're doing to me. They're taking out my entire western side. So now Russia has stepped in and told Israel, you calm down or else. So the problem is that Russia's already started with Ukraine. I don't think Russia's afraid of starting it with Israel. And that's going to be that's what I always said. Iran is the catalyst. Once it starts with Iran and Russia have like badass agreements, just like us in the United States, where Iran's like, yo, I will take care of your fucking people in the middle of the winter. There will always be oil. There will always be heat. You will not freeze to death. Don't let the Americans fucking kill me. And Russia's like, I got you. And it's all about to turn into the biggest nuclear game of chicken. Unless, and I hate to do this because I've been this has been on my brain for 3 days because this war has been escalating and escalating and no one's talking about the right things. Like, you guys remember the USS Liberty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know that like there was some shit done during that war that the USS Liberty had record of that would have
supposed to sink it.
And then Israeli
pilot flying a plane with a flag of Egypt shot and attacked the ship. Didn't sink, but they were threatened with death or imprisonment. They talked.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, what was it? LBJ.
Right. So the Israelis launched a ridiculous airstrike on the USS Liberty just to follow it up with some bunch of fucking submarine torpedoes. Like they beat the shit out of the USS Liberty, and it was Israel that did it. And it's like, fuck. So why is that important today? When Operation fucking Rising Lion, I think that's what they're calling it right now. Okay, when that thing started, okay, you guys got to remember this very important thing. What just happened recently, okay, was a retaliation from when Iran had did Operation True Promise 2, okay? So what's important to realize is that when Operation Rising Lion started, Iran may have been in a state of readiness to take an attack, but they weren't in an attacking posture because at this time, nothing had happened to Iran yet. The date and time of reckoning hadn't arrived. It's important to know this because at the time when Israel did their airstrikes, the first airstrikes on Iran, they declared that a bunch of Iranian targets were hit and some American military bases exploded. Iran hadn't retaliated yet. Iran retaliated like a day or so after it happened. How the fuck did those American bases blow up? Unless we understand USS Liberty. Israel once again did something that the American military had record of, and it got destroyed again. It's all happening again. The thing is that it's happening too quickly, meaning 9/11 happened. I was 17 and I'm now 42. The world is moving the big chess pieces too quickly. They used to do that generationally. Your grandfather understood why people were fighting, but your dad had no fucking clue. And then all of a sudden, your dad understood why everybody was fighting. Your grandfather's not there anymore, not even the same conflict, and you don't have a clue. And now we have a clue, And it's no longer, oh, wait, it is the same conflict. So for like one of the first times in our generational history of paying attention to wars, something has happened while we were young men, young enough to know that it happened, young enough to see it, and then become of age, research of it, find both opinions, and then find the truth somewhere in the middle, and then come to an unfortunate realization that these motherfuckers are still at war. And like people will joke about it, like, yeah, they've been at war for 70 years. That's not a clue. Like, if that's not a clue that something's wrong somewhere, then we're looking in all the wrong directions. That's the entire reason why I started doing this. Was I literally felt like nobody was looking in the directions. And then I realized, well, it's like in some countries you can't. In some countries, this is Adolf Hitler being reborn. It's the world against Israel. It's like people are just like, fuck it. So why do they have to attack Canada? Well, on a global stage, we're somewhat of a nice guy, different in the trenches, but like we hold a reasonable public opinion. People like us, right? A lot of people like us.
Yeah.
And someone attacked us and someone made the case that Iran did it. Well, nobody give a fuck because now they're attacking the Jews and the Canadians. Well, when will the madness end? That will be like the public, you know what I mean? The American media is going to be like, they fucking hit Canada. We can't let them get away with hitting Canada. It's fucking Canada. Look at all the good that Canada did. And then the Americans will stand on the high horse and be like, they grounded all the planes of 9/11 for us. They took care of us when no one was able to take care of us or when no one wanted to take it. If they attack fucking Canada and they blame Iran, it's over. It's over. No one will be able to stop this wave. And then the Canadian military will be there. Was
there 4 planes or 5 planes on 9/11?
Oh fuck, man! I don't know. I thought they were all missiles. We use CGI, dude. I've read the no plane theories, right? Like it's fucked. I think there was planes. Now I think they had to make 5 planes. Well, we got the 2 in the 2 towers. We got United 93 that goes down. We got 1 in the Pentagon, and then we got Tower 7. But everybody knows nothing hit Tower 7. A little bit of fucking fire. So there's 5 incidences. 2 planes took down 5 incidences. Because one of them just crashed.
But the 5th plane was grounded.
Yeah, 93. It just fucking blah.
They grounded it. They grounded it and shit.
That's when the passengers fought back. When news traveled fast back then, and there was no Twitter. I hate to see what would happen today.
It's funny that with all this information, everybody thought with the advent of the internet, information is going to be so readily available and people are going to be so smart and so intelligent. Now we're dumber than ever and more uninformed than ever.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a victim.
You look at an issue that happens right now, you don't ask, you don't think cause and effect. You go, okay, well, why is Israel at war with Iran? Well, what happened before that? What happened before that incident? Cause and effect. Goes back decades, if not generations. It's fucking insane.
Iran did not like the creation of Israel. Iran was one of the larger Arabic countries. Saudi Arabia was another one. Now Saudi Arabia has gotten on the softer side. I think this is like Saudi Arabia's version of woke. But Saudi Arabia is a little bit on the softer side. So they're just like, all right, so you just want us to not kill them? Right to live. Your funeral, not mine. So Saudi Arabia is like, okay now. But back in the day, the larger Muslim countries, like there was this thing called the 6-Day War when they were all like, fuck it, we'll just make it disappear. And the Americans like, no, we just put it there. At least let it live a little. And then that was like Desert Storm and shit. And Desert Shield and all that stuff, protecting oil wells for different countries in the Middle East. And oh my God, it was a grand fuckery of it all. But the creation of Israel was literally like after World War II, everybody felt bad at what Hitler did to the Jews, and that's okay. You're allowed to feel bad. Like shit never should have happened. We shouldn't be doing it to Muslims, and Hitler shouldn't have been doing it to the Jews. But no one has ever answered. Like,
the guy was half Jewish. The guy was half Jewish.
That's the thing. That's what I said.
That's the pretext of why they say that Hitler did what he did, because his daddy was abusive. They don't stop to look back at what happened at World War I. They don't stop to ask why Jews have been kicked out of over 120 countries and go, why is that?
His mama was Jewish.
Yeah,
right.
It's not.
Hitler was a Jewish man that was against the Zionist agenda. That's why they killed him. They tend to kill those guys. There was that one guy way back it's funny enough, it happened back in the Israeli spaces again. And they crucified that motherfucker. Like anybody who stands against the Zionist agenda gets murked. And it's like, dude, now, okay. And my father used to say, he goes, you're looking for the enemy. Just find out who you can't speak ill of. If you can't talk bad about this person, that's probably the guy that's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, and it's not even us saying that, Israel is bad. It's the Israeli government. It's Netanyahu. His own fucking people hate him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure whose people hate who worse. Dude, is it the Iranians that hate fucking Zelensky? Or do the Israelites hate Netanyahu more? Like, who hates who more?
There's
like,
just
they're both equally hated.
They're all going.
I mean, let's just look at this common sense. It's like, okay, where does the problem lie? Okay, let's just look at the government and their people. Okay, everybody says Putin's a bad guy, but you know what? Everybody in Russia loves Putin. He's doing very well for the Russian people. But the Ukrainians, they can't stand Zelensky. They want him out of power. His approval rating's like 4% and dropping. Okay? Israel with Netanyahu, his people fucking hate him. Okay? The Iranian people, they for the most part, have had no problems with their government and their regimes. Okay? They don't really have issues. Your two biggest problems are Zelensky and Netanyahu. Get rid of those two assholes, we probably have world peace.
Oh, for at least a weekend.
Not just that, but if you remove Netanyahu, how about remove the guy he has in office in Syria? How about take him out?
Bashar al-Assad, he's Russian. He's a Russian asset.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you were talking about the Mossad guy in Syria. They replaced Bashar with. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked, man. All I know is that they're going to bring the war home. They're going to bring the war home, and it's not going to be cool because once
it's just Go ahead, Connor. I'm sorry.
I don't know who's going to hit the button first. I don't know who. I'm afraid that it might be Russia, but mainly because it's one of two things happens. This is the problem. It's always one of two things with me. But as we progress, we start to realize that the one of two things just progressively gets worse and worse and worse. And it doesn't matter which one you pick anymore. But it's one of two things. Either A, the United States is going to use the bunker buster on Iran. And then Iran's going to be like, fuck this, I'm done. And if they have nukes, they're going to use them. If they don't, they're going
by fire.
Right? Or they're going to just send everything they have militarily up against Israel to see if they can at least do to Israel what Russia has done to the Ukraine, which it's kind of a funny thing when you're like, Zelensky's approval ratings. And I was like, yeah, but it's hard to approve when you're dead. So the number keeps dropping because the population keeps dropping and the approval is there because now they're afraid, right? Like the Russians have like literally scared the Ukrainian people because their entire population is being decimated everywhere they turn. Those who had strong opinions to protect the country they're patriots, and patriots die. And it sucks. Like the entirety of Ukraine will belong to Russia before this is over, purely based on fear. So that's kind of lost, unless unless we can stop the Russian advance. And the only way you're going to stop the Russian advance now is to stop the flow of Russian weapons to Russia. Russia needs to physically not be able to shoot anymore. Because then Russia
Yeah,
gets
but at
painted
which
in a
point,
corner.
if they can't shoot, then they just execute the big boom.
That's right. Then you got to paint them into a corner, because regardless of the nation that we're from, nobody wants to be the bad guy. So if Vladimir Putin runs out of bullets and he has to go nuclear, for lack of a better word, he may still not choose to do so, because you're like, I've been the bad guy since the beginning of this war. I could die the bad guy and make the whole world crumble, or I could just die and leave this problem to the world, for the world to solve. But because nobody wants to be that dude. So there is the other side of it, though, where he could be like looking at Israel instead. And if Russia nukes Israel, with the information that is anti-Israel that's out around the world right now, it'll almost look like Russia was doing the world a favor. The Americans couldn't stop them. The Muslim world around them couldn't keep them contained. They were fomenting wars throughout the entire economic trade zones, Panama, Suez Canal. These are two canals that are available on the other side of the equators, right? One's on the north, on our continental area, and the other one's in the Middle East. But all of these things, Russia could be like, if we just take out Israel, the Americans have no assets to protect in the Middle East anymore. And Iran and I can continue business, and we can then take Ukraine. And at that point, you're looking at the broader sense of a global war, because the biggest reason why, and no one's factored this in, but if you look at it on a map, the biggest reason why Russia has to take Ukraine is, you ever see the distance of the Ukrainian border, how long that is? Like, there's a border line between Ukraine and Russia, and it's a certain length. And if you go to the other side of Ukraine, there's a border line between Ukraine and the NATO countries that are there. Okay? That line is substantially smaller. So Russia's got one choice now. Ukraine is going to join NATO. So if Ukraine joins NATO, that line that is between Ukraine and Russia, the larger line, that is the border line that Russia has to protect from NATO. And it's a large line to protect. If Russia takes the entirety of Ukraine, that other line that is bordering the NATO countries is much smaller and far easier for Russia to defend. Well, why would he want to do that if he's going to just end up being a direct neighbor with a NATO country? In Russia's mind, Ukraine's joining NATO. It's going to be a direct neighbor with a NATO country. Either way this one slices. The only thing Russia controls is how big of a line it has to protect against NATO. And it's just makes sense. It makes military sense for Russia to take Ukraine, to have to protect that small border line from NATO. And why do we?
If Trump was smart, he would leave NATO, at which point, we're the ones financing everything involving NATO. NATO dies if the United States leaves. If the United States leaves NATO is dead. Yeah, but check this out.
I mean,
at which point, when NATO dies, but if NATO dies, think about it. The United States leaves NATO. NATO dies. The United States forms an alliance with Russia. Now, if you have a Russian-United States alliance, you have the two biggest superpowers with the biggest, meanest toys no longer at each other's throats, but have a peace accord and can look at the rest of the world and go, okay, children, sit down and play nice, or mama and papa are both going to whoop your ass.
Do you know who almost did that? Who almost successfully did that? George Bush Jr. They said, like, pretty much like when Vladimir Putin came into office, right, like almost right away when he came in, the first thing he wanted to do was to examine the possibilities joining NATO and being a productive ally with the West to try, because the Iron Curtain had fallen.
Yeah.
It was over. Like, so he's in his brain. He's like, if it's over, then we should be able to shake hands.
Yeah,
And,
we should all. There shouldn't be a need for NATO. There should be a new alliance.
well, you could still call it NATO because it's the North Atlantic Treaty. Well, Russia's got like the best part of the North. Like,
Yeah.
and we have like the a portion of the North and like the Atlantic between Canada and the United States. We own the Atlantic Ocean, and we got that northern part taken care of. Like, you could still call it NATO. Russia just wanted in, and we said no. So, and
Actually,
so,
that's
I
like-
believe it was Obama that said no. It was Obama that said no because Putin took in Snowden. Everything was good until Snowden sought asylum in Russia, at which point everything was off the table and Russia was once again our enemy as per the globalist plan. I don't know if Snowden knew this or whether he just played right into the fucking agenda unwittingly. I don't know. Or even if just the globalists were waiting for the catalyst and here comes Snowden's like, oh, this couldn't have been any more perfect.
it was just timed. It just worked.
Yeah. Just capitalize on any opportunity given.
So
That's
it's
like
a,
that's like the treaty when Clinton was in office of when it was there to do the Israel and Palestine peace agreement. It went well.
Yeah.
Both signed it. Both signed it. It went well.
Yep.
But guess who? Guess who said no? Democrats
Israel.
said no.
Yeah. Which was
It's-
funny considering the Democrats were the ones in power at the time. That was during the Clinton administration, who was a Democrat.
it's
I mean-
scary, man.
You're sitting there, Democrats sitting there saying that the Clintons are kind of their poster child for the Democratic Party. Fucking Clinton, Obama, and AOC, and Obama cunt. That's my nickname for her. AOC is an acronym for an Obama cunt. I want a quarter every time somebody says that. I'm copywriting an Obama cunt. I want a quarter anytime somebody says it. But
Oh, man.
you know, it's funny, you know, how you say that, Revan, that, you know, the Clintons were effectively the Democratic poster child and are essentially the brass balls of the Democratic Party, but yet the Democratic Party opposed the Clinton administration on this matter?
Right?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that work? I mean, if that does not demonstrate hypocrisy and double standards within your own party, I don't know what does.
But my country's not better than yours in that respect either.
Yeah.
There's a few that said no. Why?
Like
If you're peace, let it happen.
and people
But
can
they
even
said-
cite, like
They said there's no money in it. Why? They want
Make
war.
money.
Why? War is a profit.
well, yes,
Yeah,
it's
war
the
is
Americans' largest economy, tanks and bombs. See, I sell wood. I sell fucking maple syrup. You know, like we got like fisheries and stuff. So like we'll sell like lobsters and stuff, right? Like, what do you sell? And that's the
Boom.
difference. That's why Canada's like, we got a borderline there for a reason. We're gonna hold it for a bit. And Mexico's like, yo, I might cross it illegally, but you stay on your fucking side. Right? Both the countries that are beside you are ridiculously resource rich. We're just at a point now where it's like,
I would like to eat fish and chips while wondering if MH370 is at the Diego Garcia.
right?
My head just exploded. That was
Oh, that-
great.
MH370. That's that plane that disappeared.
Yeah. But the fact that he said it, that got me.
You have to have fish and chips. No, I don't blame him because This is the thing. These planes that disappeared, we can never forget about them. Because if random fucking planes start hitting places and people start declaring hijacking and they're like, no, you could have just grabbed any one of them missing planes and said it was any one of those hijacked. Just change the call sign, tra-la-lee, tra-la-la, land one, crash one, no lives lost. Oh, such a loss to life. It's an easy way to make it look bad on TV without anybody getting hurt. And they all want to say, no, that's not possible. And I raise you the Terminator. Movies, television. We do it every fucking day. So you say with like Jesus brought him back to life. It's a miracle. We do it every day in a hospital now. Every day it's done in the hospital. People come back to life. It's fucked. Yeah. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the world Jesus was trying to get you ready for. Where you, as long as this guy touches you, you'll be fine. And we just call him a surgeon now.
Yep.
Right?
Please bring me back so I can eat. Please bring me back so I can eat fish and chips while wondering if MH to see if MH basically the fucking planet at the Diego Garcia.
Yeah, they have it there. They would have to. That would be why a bunch of those new bombers are hiding out there.
Don't choke to death, man.
We're just starting to like you.
On my phone, I was using the Google Earth app. Looked up MH370. Would it land? Diego Garcia.
Fuck.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah. That's why Diego Garcia is being heavily guarded right now. And then there's this though. There's this biggest thing too though. Like North Korea hasn't done anything recently. Hasn't even said anything recently. And like they're trying to develop.
They're about 50 years behind.
Yeah, but the only thing they can hit is Guam, and that's the one that worries me. Is like Guam is still in
right, Kim Jong Lip Dick.
So when he says he's going to attack the American homeland or motherland or whatever, he's referring to Guam.
Oh, he's a pussy, man. He's a pussy. Is that right, Kim Jong Lip Dick?
So all we got to do now is wait and see. And this is the part I don't like, because everything is actually primed.
Yeah. Say again, Connor?
So we're at the wait and see part, and this is the part I don't like, because everything is actually primed. It's like you got the. I used to say we need Iran to get attacked, so that once that happens, we know they're in the conflict, and now that they're in the conflict, we can start looking. Okay, well, who's not in conflict? And there are some nations out there that are not fighting, but like continentally, the Americans are somewhat in a squabble with Mexico to a degree. So like there is a conflict on this continent, just not to that degree.
Yeah.
South Korea, North Korea.
A country that was created by Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know.
Yeah, but you figure if we had an alliance with Russia, if it was just Russia and the United States in an alliance with nobody else, it'd be like, okay, Russia, you handle that side of this shit. I'll handle this side of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Canada and Mexico hold enough resources to maintain this continent for hundreds of years moving forward. And if we just didn't fuck with Russia and we actually like opened up the economic aspects of things, Russia is a resource landmine as well. And they're already very well connected with all of the other economic values of that. They understand business on that side of the world. Why? Because they can conduct business with Iran. Very few people know how to, right?
Yeah.
So like, it really is a lot of why can't we all just get along? And it's turning into because no one really wants to share space or air with Talmudic Israel. That's that. And when I found out that that's why we're fighting, that's when I realized it's all going to happen again. There'll be no stopping this thing. It could never be prevented. It could only be prepared for and survived. That's why Hitler died trying, damn near, because he didn't. You know, like when one of the presidents in the American, Andrew Jackson, when dying breath, I killed the banks, right? And then that problem kind of came around again. Right? Well,
Yep.
it's same kind of situation that we're faced with. Germans had done what they had done. But they didn't wipe out the enemy, and you could clearly see that they didn't, because if we were saving the good guy wouldn't be the fucking problem today.
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah,
It's
the
not
guy
that Jews are the
killed
problem, or
I
it's
got
not
the
that
photo.
people are the problem. It's the ideas. Okay, it's like Hitler attacked the Jews trying to eliminate Zionism. Okay, but he didn't attack Zionism. He attacked the Jews. He attacked the people, not the idea. He tried to destroy the people, not the idea, and the idea survived, and the idea thrived.
Well, see, here's the problem that I've been having with
He
this
had
one.
the wrong target. He had the right idea, the wrong target.
Well, see, the way the history is that I've been observing is that there's newspaper clippings that literally state that Zionism declares war on Germany. And that's a huge thing. That's because if you switch those words, if you say Germany declares war on Zionism, the narrative that we're taught in history school makes sense. Hitler hated the Jews.
But if you look at actual history, it's backwards.
It's backwards. The real historic documents, the clippings state that Zionists and Israel didn't exist yet. So Zionists declare war against Germany. What we've come to realize now, what we call Zionist and what we call like the globalist agenda, and then all the same people. So if we were to start systematically killing these people, it would look no different. You would be killing Jewish Zionist bankers, and that's what Adolf Hitler was doing. But he was taking out their entire families, entire neighborhoods, and in the process, he started taking out the gays, the cripple, the blacks. It didn't matter who you were anymore. By the end of it, the meth took over. He was just killing everybody.
Yeah, it was just he couldn't figure out who his enemy was. He's like, okay, I want to kill the Zionists. Well, who are the Zionists? Fuck it, kill them all. Let God sort them out. That's why he fucked up. He had the right idea. You want to end the globalist New World Order. Okay, and it's not just one faction. It's not just Zionism. It's not just the elites. Not just Bohemian Grove and Skull and Bones and Freemasons and this and that. It's just different pockets. Call it different things, but at the end of the day, it's still the one idea. You didn't get to the root of the problem. You started freaking plucking off petals instead of getting to the root of the problem, and then you just blew up. Basically, Hitler just blew up the whole goddamn garden. He didn't try to get rid of the weeds. He just decided, fuck it, blow up the whole goddamn garden.
That's right. And we found that problem again in history as well. And that was like right after 9/11. Like nobody could sort out the good Muslims from the bad Muslims, so to speak, right? And it's fucked because like that's what I mean. Like we're there again. It's just a different grouping of people, and the Christian now has to decide which one lives or dies. Last time we protected the Jews.
Christians need to look at the history of what's going on. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And why are we not learning from history? Because we're not taught real history. I.e., Zionism declares war on Germany.
And you can look that up. You can look that up. That's in that 6-hour documentary of like Adolf Hitler, greatest story never told. And all they're doing is illustrating his political reign from start to finish. And it's not about being some fucking ridiculous neo-Nazi. It's not about.
We're not saying we support Hitler. Not at all. Hitler fucked up big time. Hitler was bad, but there was method to the madness.
He had support though.
And we're not taught that. We're not taught what we don't even know what a fucking National Socialist government is. Like it's
here's something that they don't know. The oil in the plains, right? The measurements, the oil they're using from Rockefeller.
An entire bombing raid would have been prevented if Rockefeller refused one sale. Right? And this is the other side of the fuckery too, because everybody's trying to decipher from the good Muslims and the bad Muslims. But like, I'm going to tell you a very, very important secret. You know those terrorists, those extremists, those hardened, we're going to kill Americans. Those ones. You know those. You know the guy I'm talking about. right? That guy.
Yep.
Do you know what information that they use to radicalize these men?
Uh-oh. Do it. I know exactly where this is going, Connor. Do it. Do it. Make
You-
the people's heads explode. Do it.
You must do God's chosen work, for nobody has the necessary fortitude to stand against the New World Order. The New World Order information that we know is called the Dajjal system in Islam. The Muslims that we have been programmed to call terrorists are Muslim
We're fighting the New World Order.
that are fighting the New World Order. They know exactly how tightly Israel is tied into the United States. They know why the United States did what it did. These men have the history that me and you are like, why aren't they teaching us regular history? Because if they taught us regular history, we'd be doing the same fucking thing. It's
Yeah.
hard enough.
And
It's hard enough to tell people that there's a group of people that believe that pedophilia should be protected, and that there's a religion that backs that. Like that blows people's minds all by themselves. Like, and this is where I've always tried to explain to people that it doesn't matter if you believe it, because those motherfuckers do.
Yep. And here's a real fuckery for the brain. Yes, they used anti-New World Order propaganda to radicalize the Muslims to attack the United States, thinking that they were attacking the New World Order, but was actually working with the New World Order unbeknownst to them. They unwittingly served the agenda for the globalist New World Order agenda while thinking they were fighting it.
That's right. No matter how smart
And here-
an individual is, we can fall victim to a swindle.
Yep, and we're here right now. Trump is propagating, and Alex Jones is fueling it, saying, "Oh, Trump's anti-New World Order." When in truth, he could either be a witting or unwitting participant in the globalist agenda on the premise of fighting the New World Order, while systematically, wittingly or unwittingly, doing exactly what the New World Order wants.
So he's just a man. He's a businessman. It's just money. He's not going to be president forever, and he's going to want to make a few bucks along the way. And it's not going to be in the $400,000 a year that he makes as being president. That he's never cared about that. That was never enough money. Right? It's fuck. And it's not even about Trump being a good or a bad president. It's just there's a fucking attack coming to the North American continent. It's coming. And when it hits, we will be obligated to choose who we let live and who dies. Because it won't matter to us. It won't matter. Yeah. Something happens on North American soil, someone's going to die for it.
Yeah.
And if it's Iran, well, then it's going to keep escalating, and it's going to move on to Russia. It's going to, truth be told, and like there's American military men who have said this, that in a blink of an eye, I would throw Israel under the bus. That if there was no Israel, that there would be no war. And that the only reason why Israel is there is to foment war. For as long as there is war, there is an American economy. And you guys don't go broke. And there's a fucking shit ton of you guys to just all of a sudden go through an economic recession and you just go broke. And what affects you affects me. Like it is what it is. Like it's going to turn into you cut any one of us and we'll all bleed maple syrup. Like it's coming.
Yeah.
I like to do a little. I like to do a little side lesson for the viewers here. Do you guys ever wonder what happened to the Incas, the Mayas, and Aztecs?
Us and the Spanish.
The white man.
Mexico, Peru, and Colombia was a creation by Spain. Each the Inca, the Aztecs, the Mayas had their own language. They had their own empire. They had their own way of living.
Culture.
Very,
Yep.
very, very, very ahead of time until Spain came in the picture.
Yep. Once Spain and
So we got
Europeans
Colombia,
came onto the scene, everybody had their own freaking life, and then the Spaniards and the Europeans showed up and with the philosophy of rape the fields and pillage the women.
You have Mexicans, Peruvians, and Colombians waving the colonial flag while playing European fucking football.
Yep.
Oh man.
And now you know.
That's why I like that. The Immoral Technique is an amazing rapper, and he raps about a lot of that part of the world and what they did. Like why do we got Jamaicans hating on Haitians when the British and French raped both nations? Like things like that. Like it's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Immoral Technique's an amazing artist to get information from through song and through rap vibes and things like that. Like it's going into a direction that very few of us are prepared to visit, and I guess that's my biggest thing. I'm not normally an alarmist. I'm really not. But when Benjamin Netanyahu legitimately threatened the Ayatollah of Iran and said that he's going to end up like Saddam Hussein, ladies and gentlemen, we really have to apply our thinking caps to exactly what led to Saddam Hussein's death. And the very first thing that led to Saddam Hussein's death was an attack on American soil that was led by the name of a fucking bank account. Okay, because excuse me, Osama bin Laden, he ran, what was the fucking name of his terrorist group again? Fucking Al Qaeda. The Al Qaeda. Well, Al Qaeda is the name of a CIA bank account. Everybody was trying to figure out where the funding came from to attack 9/11. When you're looking for the funding, you're following the money. And Al Qaeda was the name of an American CIA Black Ops bank account. The money came from Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't focus on the name Al Qaeda. They focused on Taliban.
They had to swap it because eventually it would come out.
Database.
Yes, Al Qaeda, the database. All of that shit. Those are all American assets. Osama bin Laden himself was an American asset. He was
Tim Osman worked for the CIA back in the 80s.
That's right. When and why? Because fucking Russia was at war in the desert back then. That's why when George Bush said, I'm going to war with Iraq, Russia's like, you're going to war. Like, I couldn't even make them submit. I wish you the best of luck. After 9/11 happened, remember, Iron Curtain had fallen. Russia and us are friends.
Hey, John.
Yeah, man.
Remember the movie, the Charlie Wilson's War, with Tom Hanks in it?
Charlie Wilson's War. Oh, I gotta let you guys go, guys. Sorry.
Revan, go ahead and state your idea.
Charlie Wilson's War was a movie with Tom Hanks, and it took place. The timeline took place during the war between Russia and Afghanistan. Now, Charlie Wilson was a gun weapons guy. He sold weapons to Afghanistan. He sold RPGs, Stinger missiles, you name it, the whole shebang. And helped beat Russia, because Russia came in thinking it was going to take over Afghanistan. Well, I mean, if you got a bunch of Afghanis with Stinger missiles and shit, yeah, good luck with that, because your chopper will be your grave, man. Your grave, and it'll be ash, man, you know. But also involved, you had the Mujahideen that was working with us, man, you know.
Yeah.
During that time. And not just that, you had the Iran-Contra, right?
Yeah.
Barry Seals dropped off. He was delivering drugs, and they use the money. They paid out Iranians to bring money in for the Contras and Nicaragua.
Yep.
That was
That's it.
during the that was during the Reagan years, man.
Yeah.
And,
See, there's a lot of people that don't understand this. People look at just what's happening right now and can't figure out why, and then they're sitting there choosing a side. People need to get informed. You need to start looking at history. You need to start with the present issue and work your way back. Just follow the steps back and see where it all started. Because it's gang war is what it is. It's the same strategies used in gang wars. It's like retaliation to retaliation to retaliation. I do something to you, you do something to me, and I respond and do something back to you, and then you respond and do something back to me. It's endless retaliation without end, not even realizing that, hey, at one point, these gangs were all on the same side. There wasn't any Bloods and Crips. There was the Black Panther Party. And then our government psyoped them, and now you've got roving gangs. People don't understand the history behind this and the science behind it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Israel and
all the
Muslims.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Revan.
Here's a history lesson for all the protesters out there who think that we're on stolen land. This isn't no stolen land. This was bought and paid for. California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Texas.
Yeah.
Right? All bought and paid for. $14 million to Mexico. We now own it.
Yeah.
So all you little bastards out there, remember, this is legal. This isn't stolen land. It's bought and paid for.
Yeah, there was the Mexican-American War, but you know what? There was a transaction that went place. California and all these other subsequent states were bought by the United States, and a lot of it was due to trying to shape the Civil War, shape the outcome of the Civil War.
If
you really want to deep dive into that? You really want to deep dive into that? Watch The Mask of Zorro.
If you look at the late 1700s, prior the war for revolution, the war for independence, we bought Louisiana, and other states from France. While doing that, we bought Florida from who? Spain.
Yeah. That's why it was initially called the Gulf of Mexico, because all these territories once belonged to Spain, which is now modern day which is now Mexico. Okay, it was Spain, and then they became Mexico, and we systematically bought off these territories as part of the United States.
Well,
that's why it's called the Gulf of Mexico, because
the thing is,
Mexico essentially at that point,
Incas, Aztecs, and the Mayans. Oh yeah.
They don't realize it was legitimately
Incas,
purchased.
The Mayans and Aztecs, they're still around, but it's just the descendants.
Yeah, and most of the culture is dead.
It's the descendants that are still alive, indigenous.
Yeah, and very little of their culture was preserved and passed down generationally. It's kind of been integrated into Mexican culture. And I'm not saying anything against Mexican culture. But it is what it is.
When you
most
look
cultures
at
derive from.
the Aztec language,
Say again.
the Aztec language is being taught and spoken by the Mexican mafia. They're speaking the Aztec language.
Really?
And using it codingly, yeah, as in code. Like, really
pretty
brilliant.
genius.
I'm like, dude, this is, I mean, yeah, really, I mean, just really brilliantly genius method. Because the thing is, when you learn the language and the history, oh man, genius. Man,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, a
dude,
lot of people want to say that Mexicans are just stupid and all this other shit. No, Mexicans are pretty fucking smart. Okay? I guarantee you, like,
Mexico
half
is
the
like
fucking Mexicans you run
like
into
the
who
United
say
States.
they don't speak English, they speak English, they just don't want to fucking deal with your ass. Okay, most of them can
There's a
speak English,
guy
they just don't
on
want to deal with you.
TikTok.
They're smart.
There's a guy on TikTok who's Mexican but don't speak English, Spanish. They're going after him because he's a Mexican but don't speak Spanish because, like, dude, you're Mexican. You should speak Spanish.
Yeah. So what?
I'm half
If
Mexican.
you live in the States,
I don't
that's the
speak
common language. Learn the language. If you want to have a second language, that's fine. But you know what? Your primary language should be the language most commonly spoken in that country.
Well,
if I go to Japan, I need to learn to speak Japanese. They ain't going to accommodate my ass.
Well, here's the thing. Look, English should be the only language, the main language,
No.
Because my grandparents came here during the war. My father's folks came here during the war. They were political refugees.
Yes.
During the war. Spanish is only what they spoke.
Yeah.
They ran a little store, a little drive-in. My grandfather also worked in the farm, also worked in the fields as well. My grandmother raised 8 kids. My dad's the youngest of 8. The thing is, English shouldn't be the major language because the whole country is a melting pot of people who want to prosper, raise a family, work hard, But the thing is,
English is the predominantly agreed majority language in the United States. For whatever the reason, that was the language agreed upon.
Language, yeah. But the thing is,
it's the commonly,
you shouldn't be
it's the
forced
socially acceptable language in the United States. That's why English is the predominant language spoken in the United States because that's what they teach in. That's how the language you conduct business in, whatever. Why? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That's just how you just roll the dice and that's where the dice landed.
If you learn to speak English as a second language, great idea, because you're being a translator and you're speaking from both sides. One to translate from one to the other, because my father speaks both English and Spanish. But the thing is, when you look at the history of Mexico and Peru and Colombia, it wasn't just those 3 countries that they helped create. It was further down to Honduras and
to South America.
I mean, straight down from Mexico, yeah, and they also created half of the United States as well before it even came to one.
Before we bought it, yeah.
It's really that we need to learn. Yeah. Panama is Spanish. It's Spanish,
Yes.
So, Venezuela, Spanish. Argentina, Spanish. There's an ongoing war between England and Argentina over the Falkland Islands.
Yeah.
Which British English stole the island. It was an island owned by Argentina, but England, with their nose in the air, took it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have their hand in the melting pot of what is the New World Order. And they've got their hands in everything. Everything that exists today exists because of the New World Order agenda. Every country, every system, every war game, every piece of technology is because of the globalist system. And we have to be very careful to identify the key players. And that's what I say. That's why I say I don't think Trump's really on our side. And if he is, he's not going to be able to get it done in 4 years. Because these people have been at this for a very long time. No.
Trump was
never I'd like to see somebody fucking... Yeah. The only way it's... Yeah, I'm sorry. But the only way I think this is ever going to happen, that Trump is going to, quote, end the New World Order, is if he's the Antichrist. And Connor alluded to it, and I kind of touched base on it at the beginning of this broadcast, that Trump might be the Antichrist. And I've said this in the past, when he got shot in the air. What happens to the beast when he first rises out of the ocean? Gets that wound on one of its heads. And then recovers, wins over the people, and to the point where everybody goes, who can stand against the beast? Who can stand against the United States? Who can stand against Trump? Who could stand against the alliance of the United States and Israel and conquered Russia? Or even if the United States aligned itself with Russia.
What I can say is, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, for a long, long time.
Shoot.
Do not get your news here. Don't.
No.
Don't ever get your news here. Sky News Australia. One American News. Newsmax. Breitbart. Ground News. Now, okay. Ground News. Ground News is an app. Download the app on your phone, tablet, whatever. Groundnews.com. It's the only source that would show you which network, which paper, which website is the story. And it'll show you how much percentage is left, how much percentage is right, and how much percentage is center.
Yeah.
But do not
I would tell people
here on...
Yeah, well, we're not a news outlet. We're just independent activists throwing out our opinions. We touch on facts as best we can, but, whether you listen to us or Alex Jones or anything, don't listen to what we say. Do your homework. Do research. Okay, don't fucking just buy into what we say about Panama or what we say about Israel. Do your fucking research. Don't buy into the left or to the right. Turn off your damn TV. Yeah. Go to the source. Go to the source and do your research. Yeah. Don't believe what the media says of what Trump said. Go look at what Trump said. Okay, listen to his speech. Listen to the speech in question, and you determine what's what. Think for your damn self. That's what I would always say. Don't buy into any media outlet. We're just kind of pointing you in the direction. We're not the spear. We're the hand on the spear. Okay, we'll point you in the right direction.
Do your research.
Yeah, research
Do your
it.
research.
Learn for yourself.
Think for yourself.
Yeah.
Think for yourself.
Turn off.
Open your fucking eyes. Open your fucking.
Yeah, turn off your damn TV. In fact, I'm going to quote Marilyn Manson here. This is probably the one time I would agree with anything that man ever said. Kill your God, kill your TV. Seriously, stop listening to your TV. Turn the damn thing off. Kill your God, kill your TV.
Before you open your eyes and ears, here's the thing. Before you open your eyes and ears, first open your mind. Open your mind, man. Open your fucking mind. Open your heart. Open your eyes and ears. But the moment you open your mouth is when you put your foot in it up to the kneecap.
Exactly.
Open your mind, man. Open your fucking mind.
Unlearn everything that you have learned, and then travel back to the beginning of time and just absorb and see it all firsthand. See what really happened. Make your own thoughts and determinations. Unlearn what you have learned. Turn off your TV. Kill your God. Kill your TV. And then look at the world and see it for what it is. Past, present, and determine your future. Beyond that, I don't know that there's anything else we can really cover there. I mean, we're targeted left and right.
Before we go, next week, next Tuesday, at this time, next Tuesday, it's going to be a special episode next week. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was actually segueing into. We've been attacked a lot. InfoWars has been attacked a lot. A lot of people in the activist community who aren't even that big get attacked a lot. Anybody who's outspoken or is a whistleblower gets attacked a lot. A lot of freaking gang stalking, a lot of freaking
next week
targeting.
Hell yeah. The reason next week's going to be special is because we're going to have a special guest on our show.
Yep, okay. We're going to be addressing these gang stalking issues and all this because we already know a lot of activists are being attacked, but it's a lot bigger than what you think. And it's not happening to just people like Alex Jones.
Government organized gang stalking and the origin.
Yes.
And
gang
we'll
stalking.
Have a good friend of mine on here. And
good deal.
Will blow your mind. I mean, it would do more of. I mean, put it this way: what you're going to be hearing is going to really mind fuck you into oblivion.
Yeah, and if you want an idea of what we're talking about, if the audience wants an idea of what we're talking about. A lot of people already know about Alex Jones having been targeted, InfoWars being targeted, Jamie White having been killed. It goes beyond that. Remember when Trump said that the only reason they want to eliminate him is because they want to get to you? He's just in the way? Well, they're already going after us. There are people who work in the public and private sector, or even activists who are speaking out and are becoming targets of gang stalking, not just swatting, but gang stalking and DOD psyops. A lot of shit's happening. And we're going to address that next week.
Books. Right now, before we go, I'm going to throw out 2 books. Get him as again. Operation Soul Catcher and How to Tame a Demon, authored by Dr. Robert Duncan.
Yep, you've quoted those a few times in the past.
He's a modern day Joseph Mengele.
Yes. Yep. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it.
Duncan. Okay.
Yeah. With that, we're going to call it.
Day Mengele.
Yes.
All right.
Please don't repeat yourself. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close this out. We're already at an hour 40. So, on behalf of Connor, thank you, Revan. For everybody watching this, thank you for having tuned in. And for those of us who are watching us on the retransmission, all of you out there, this is Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance.